Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Happy Thursday. This is going to be a fun show, reliving some memories.
Okay. Yeah.
No?
And yeah, well, when you get to be our age, memories are like last weekend, and that's about the longevity of those memories, if you're lucky. Also, can't remember what I had for lunch. So, yeah. Lots to talk about today. Some on the south and north side of the border. Lots a little bit of everything. Potpourri.
A potpourri.
Yeah.
But that's okay because, you know, last weekend we were away last Thursday right through until Sunday, late Sunday night.
Yeah.
And you know, most people spend their weekends having fun, making memories with their family, their friends, or at protests. And we decided to work all weekend.
Yeah. Well,
drive and work.
Canada Day off, maybe. We'll do that. Yeah. So much to talk about. We are going to talk about the Re-Awaken Tour. We just realized we did like 12 interviews in a couple days. 13 interviews in a couple days. So that was a lot. And then we've got some stuff from this side of the border. And then Adobe is playing shenanigans. And some solutions for you there. Yeah.
Yay. We love solutions.
Depends on the solution. If it's the final solution, yeah, not so much. So.
Okay. Well, if the final solution is in our wheelhouse and good for us, then that's perfectly fine.
Well, the final solution refers to the Nazis' final solution, which is no good. Yeah. So, want to play a game?
Sure.
Why am I wearing this hat? No. Multiple choice. Is it because I haven't cut my hair?
Yes.
Is it? Wait. Is it because I love this hat and I got a weekend and free and I love this hat?
Ooh, yes.
Or is it finally because I haven't reset the studio lights and so the glare off my head could probably bring out an aircraft and I'm trying to be responsible with that?
D, all of the above.
Correct. That is all of the above, right?
I don't know. Funny because on my screen it is like horribly.
It's showing me an unstable connection at this end, yet we're hardwired in. So go figure that out. So we got all our internet readjusted. We got a brand new router and we're still having issues, but that should pass in a while. So we'll just carry on.
We're not giving away any giant secrets tonight. So you would think that the global predators would be leaving us alone, but the Re-Awaken Tour and bringing up how that is a real deal down in the States. And there's a lot of big names. They had probably 60 to 100 speakers over the weekend and a crap ton of booths. I've never seen that many vendors in one place in a really, really long time.
Yes.
There was probably about, if I had to guess, about 40 to 60 vendors.
Right.
So it's a big deal down in the States. And their freedom movement, and not that I want to call it a freedom movement because I don't feel like it's a freedom movement. I think it's, you know, an anti-predator movement and a truth movement at this point in time. But it's still going strong. Right.
We're going to take a risk here. I'm going to see if I can turn off the Wi-Fi. Looks like we're coming back, but I'm going to turn the Wi-Fi. So we're going to pause. There we go. That puts us on hardwire, so we'll see what's going on. But shenanigans again with our brand new router. So we'll keep on keeping on trying to solve this problem. Anyway, we'll just carry on today as if it's no big deal, and hopefully it will sort itself out.
Hopefully. Hey, Hisham.
Yeah, there we go. Getting better already. So where do you want to start?
I don't know. Do you want to talk about our interviews? You know, what?
I'm listening to you.
Oh,
intently.
I'm like, what did I do that was wrong?
You're not used to getting all my attention. You know, like divided brain all the time.
No, exactly. Right. So when we arrived at the Re-Awaken Tour on the Thursday night, we were setting up our booth And then they had this meet and greet. You were blurred on Twitch too. Interesting.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, the ever encouraging Luann. Thank you so much. Wow, signal sucks tonight. Thank you, thank you. If you start commenting on the content, we're gonna have to have words later.
There you
anyway,
go.
Okay, so
Thursday we arrived. We set up our portable studio booth, and then we rushed over to the bowling alley. And lo and behold, they are playing shenanigans down in the States like they are here, because they had it booked at one bowling alley, and literally last minute, that bowling alley canceled their meet and greet. And about 2 hours before the meet and greet was supposed to happen, they managed to find another bowling alley that took them in, and they sent out a link to everybody that had the passes to go, saying change of plans, go here now. And unfortunately, because it was so late in the game, that bowling alley was not prepared for the mass of people. So over 3,000 people were at the Re-Awaken Tour, and the VIP tickets and the media tickets and some other price of tickets got the invites to this bowling alley. We waited almost 2 hours for pizza and nachos and wings.
Oh yeah, we talked about the awesome nachos last week.
Oh my
Monday.
gosh.
Yeah, they're amazing. You can't get enough of a bag of Doritos and Cheese Whiz melted in a small cup. I mean, amazing for $4, $4.50.
Yeah, it was interesting. But while we were there, we ran into a pastor who we actually met at the Re-Ignite Tour.
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome, because the pastors that run Grace Christian Church were actually off on a mission. So they had asked Pastor, and I can't remember if his name was Patrick or Philip, or maybe it was Patrick Philip, but he was taking over he left his church to come over and babysit the Grace Christian Church while the Re-Awaken Tour was on. And he was fabulous, and he remembered us from the Re-Ignite Tour. We had a great conversation with him. And then he came over and visited our studio when we were live doing interviews on the Friday and Saturday. And we got to do a really great interview with him. But you're not really going to hear it.
No, the audio equipment crapped out. We figured out later that it stopped itself. It went off. And, we were kind of going back and forth doing interviews, and we were wondering, well, where the frick is Chooch? Because Chooch is supposed to be take care of all that stuff. But Chooch was off doing his own thing. And like, where are you? And there he is, interviewing Judy Mikovic.
And the title of the article again.
Okay. So this is from globaltimes.cn. So I'm not too certain how secure the source. The
Dietrich Horror.
Yeah, the Fort Detrick Horror, a closer look at the U.S.'s largest biochemical weapons research center, by the globaltimes.cn.
Okay.
So we'll skip over some of this stuff here. A lot of that's what we know, but one of the most interesting parts here I found. So we know it shut down in 2019, and then reopened up again just after the pandemic really started, and they were one of the leading agencies for researching of the coronavirus, right? So they're saying here, days before the institution's temporary shutdown in 2019, a respiratory illness was reported on June 30th at a retirement community in Fairfax County, Virginia. They had 63 infected cases of the disease and 3 deaths by July 15th, said local health authorities. So to me, that sounds really suspicious, because we know it was safety concerns is why it was shut down in the first place. And then they magically open up again during the pandemic, are now fundamental in researching this disease that maybe was already released. And even more coincidental, and I'm not sure that it's in this article that I found it, but Fort Detrick was working with a Canadian lab in Winnipeg on 2 different viruses. One was Ebola, and one was, I think they called it a phenovirus, maybe. But apparently it has like a 99% kill rate. So they were working with a Canadian lab on these 2 diseases. Whether they were those were the actual diseases they were working on, I suspect maybe it was a code name for something else.
Right.
But oddly enough, those exact 2 diseases that they publicly talked about working with the Winnipeg lab are the same 2 diseases that the Chinese doctors working at that same Winnipeg lab got fired for sharing with the CCP. So these coincidences just
aren't.
yeah, it's hard.
And so there's no such thing as a coincidence. And let me say, in Fairfax County, what's even more interesting, see, that's too far away from Fort Detrick to be a and nothing is a leak and nothing is a virus. So what they were doing, and I'm just going to talk about Ebola for a minute. So in mid-90s, we published an abstract in Nature at an international meeting on Ebola. And so what my job was 2 things. Find a cell line, develop a cell line that Ebola would not kill. So I used Vero monkey kidney cells. I had a number of cell lines that I always used when I was looking at trying to isolate a new virus. And so I use those cell lines because they're easy to transport or immortalize, cause of cancer. They're easy to clone. And what I do is I stop the protection pathways from functioning. So the Vero monkey kidney cell line was developed in 1962. And in the mid-1990s, all I know is that right after I got a PhD thesis, my postdoctoral work was to take that thesis, which said HIV didn't cause AIDS, right? Because the macrophage, if you blocked the interaction with a small peptide called peptide T, that's our first book. We'll really want to go out there and get that. Because you're going to get it. And the ending, right? Because you're going to hear it at Fort Detrick. So USAMRIID, U.S. Army Military Research Institute Infectious Disease, and around Bethesda, there was Bethesda Naval Hospital. In Fairfax County and Reston, you have the CIA.
Yeah.
So one of the things I had to do was determine what was different about Ebola Zaire and Ebola Reston. And when I say this publicly now, I say the only bat cave in Reston, Virginia is the CIA.
So amazing job, Michael. We were trying to get Judy the entire weekend, and every time she came by, we had someone else at our booth, and we just kept missing her. And Michael got her, and he got the interview. But what's cracking us up in the first 2 minutes of that thing, you came at her like you're defending your thesis.
It's who's the interviewer and who's the interviewee
That's right.
here.
So sit down, Judy. I'm going to educate you for about 2 or 3 minutes.
Bring Michael up for a
Yeah.
second. I couldn't help but laugh that whole time. That was so funny. And
It's James.
it's
Yeah.
James Roguski returning your
Well,
call.
go
Every
talk
time
to
we
James.
need you.
Yeah, go talk
Okay,
to
I'll answer.
Okay.
Okay. I love that Judy. She is such a kind heart, and
She
you could
is.
see that she really wanted to break out into laughter as Chooch is reading her this article because she knows all this stuff. She was part of all this stuff, and she's doing her darndest to hold back laughter.
Right.
But she is so kind, and it was amazing that she sat down and gave him a great interview. I think she sat with him for like a half hour.
Yeah,
or
it was
better.
good. So I haven't put it up yet. We only got the video just before the show, so I'll put the whole interview up on Rumble, as is all the snippets that we put up. We'll put all those interviews, like the full interviews, up on Rumble. So which leads us to Todd.
Oh, Todd Calendar, or not Calendar.
Gerhardt.
Sorry, Gerhardt. You know where my mind is being. I was reading before coming on the show, but Todd is this incredible man that we keep running into, and he is so kind and lovely, and
Good man. Yeah.
he is a good man, and he is out there working his butt off, not only making honey, but using his honey to raise money for so many people who have given their all. Sarah Maccabee, the J6ers, Mike Lindell, Trump, Flynn, you name it. He is raising money for other people with the honey that he makes. And
Right.
He was gracious enough to sit down with us.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know if most people know this, but Lindell's so at 60 million down on legal fees. Trump's 90 million down this year. So he's trying to help with the legal fees, one bottle of honey at a time.
Called MakeHoneyGreatAgain.com. We started it about 2 years ago. We wanted to do something different besides a T-shirt or a hat or a bobblehead. And a friend of mine is he's a honey guy, 11,000 hives in South Carolina, and he's been doing it for 30 years. And we made a deal, and we got the bottle. It is Donald Trump on honey bottle. We've been to Mar-a-Lago with him. We've been all over the country. Currently, when the rallies happen, we are the only vendor allowed inside the gates. All the T-shirts and they're all down the road because it is different, and we donate that money. We just started with the RNC and Laura Trump. So we know you guys. We met you guys. You got a promo code out there, so your people who follow you guys religiously and help these guys financially. It's not cheap to come here to Detroit. There's travel expenses. There's hotel, and you guys are keeping the word out that that's being sequestered up there in Canada. So they'll go to MakeHoneyGreatAgain.com. They'll punch in THM report.
TFM.
I'm sorry, TFM. I'm sorry, I got my notes. TFM report. It'll say, do you have a promo code? And there's a discount, guys. So you can use their promo code. You get a discount on the honey. And then we send these guys money. Every time you guys order a bottle of honey, money comes to these guys to keep you guys on the road and keeping the truth out there.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's 1 pound. It's just pure raw honey. It's untouched. It's Chris had some earlier.
I did. I was just going to say I had some earlier. And you gave me a spoonful, and I wanted another one, but I didn't say anything. It was really excellent honey. Actually, it was very good honey. And the bottle is shaped like Donald Trump, so we're clear about that.
Yeah,
so.
when we were at Mar-a-Lago, we've been to Mar-a-Lago with him at his winter gala. It was in the swag bag. It's Mike Lindell, the Pillow Man up in Minnesota, has our honey. We raise money for him. We just have a lot of different groups of like kind, like you guys, who want to keep the word out. And
it's so important right now because food is a big issue right now with the chemtrails, with all the GMO.
Right.
So
and the cost of food
and
with the inflation. I mean, here in the United States,
right?
It's just very gas prices and everything. So again, it's not that bobblehead that you put on your dresser and you don't even look at it. People use it. It's a commodity. They'll reorder it. Keep punching that code in. Get your discount. Spread the word, and help these guys on their tour to keep the good word going on.
It's actually the bobblehead you can eat from,
yes,
which is really amazing.
Exactly. And our motto and our signs. Now today, I'm here for the J6 prisoners. We're here with Sarah Maccabee. She's been on your show before.
Yes.
We donate the money to her and her causes, stand in the gap. But our normal signs say, give the Donald a squeeze. And people get a charge out of that.
So there you go. It is excellent honey. And it helps us, and it helps the Trump campaign. What's good for America is good for Canada, because one day we're going to probably need them to come and invade, and we want the good guys to do that. That's right. And so it gets shipped right to door. And when we get back on Sunday, this will be a brand new affiliate on TFM Report. So we're super excited. So
well, guys, it's
thank you
glad to
very
be
much.
part of you guys now and getting keeping the real news out.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Well,
and
great. Go to
thanks for what you do.
MakeHoneyGreatAgain.com, punch in that promo code, TFM, and you get your discount. And In the mail, it'll come. Yeah.
Amazing.
Guys,
Amazing.
let's have a good weekend.
Yeah.
It's great
Thank you,
talking.
Todd.
Yeah, good to see you. Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you.
guys. All right. Good.
Okay.
You're
See
welcome.
you, everybody.
So that was Todd and his Make Honey Great Again. And the bottle really, truly is Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So if you don't like honey, but you like Trump, buy the bottle anyway, because
Right.
no one else is going to have a bottle of Trump honey.
Yeah. It's like a really excellent Mrs. Butterworth. So yeah. Anyway, Todd was kind enough. We didn't even ask, and Todd was kind enough to give us a discount code for that. And we're like, well, we'll give it a shot. Canadians are a different breed, but we will put that up on the website. And so there you go. You can go to our website at tfmreport.com/partners, and you can buy your own honey. Yeah.
And so, we had a few other interviews. Lori and Ron from 11, they're really great. They're doing sort of what Don Coe is doing here in Durham. They are collaborating with all kinds of homeopathic natural health practitioners. So you join their club, and no matter where you travel in America, if you need a chiropractor or an acupuncturist, or you're low on your supplements, you contact 11 or go on the website with your membership, and you will get immediately who is a practitioner in the city you're at, so you can always have access to a natural health practitioner. It's a great idea, and I know Don Coe does something similar to that on Telegram with all his groups. So we wish Lori and Ron all the best, and their website is 11.ca. And 11, the third E, is a 3.
Yeah. That's right.
ELEV.
Yeah, it's not just
3N.
services though. It's also products, and even how to make your own cleaning products and whatnot. So organic and safe and all that stuff. Yeah.
And also herbs and stuff like that. So if you want an anti-inflammatory, you want to be able to make it at home yourself, they've got all those recipes and stuff there. So it's a really cool initiative that they have.
There was that. So yeah, so many of them, and we can't clip them all out. We can't.
No.
We'll be putting these interviews up, or either playing them in future shows and whatnot. But some of these interviews went to 50 minutes, like John Redenbow, which was my favorite interview the whole time.
Incredible.
Yeah.
We will save his for a show, because the stuff he was giving us, and he works with the CIA and the NSA. It was gold.
Yeah.
And he was just walking by our booth, didn't know who he was, but stopped in and said, "Hey, you look like someone we should talk to."
Right.
And lo and behold, he blew us away.
Yeah, we're gonna make a whole show out of that one, I think.
Yeah.
So.
And then we had Dr. Sherry O'Donnell. She's running for the Senate. She's a Senate delegate right now from the Michigan area. And she was one of the frontline doctors when the COVID, the fake virus hit. She specializes in emergency responses. She actually goes all over the world and sets up emergency response teams. So when there's a flood or a tsunami or a hurricane or something like that, she's one of the doctors that gets sent to manage the emergency and bring it. She knows what supplies to bring. She knows exactly the protocols to put in place. But she is running for the U.S. Senate to be a representative of Michigan. Yep. So she was an interesting talk too. And she was one of the doctors who was sent to New York for 93 days when this first hit, when nobody knew what was going on.
Right.
So she was interesting.
Yeah, so we'll play a bunch of those clips later in future shows. We'll play some more clips. There was really good stuff, and people are actually getting stuff done in the States. So we've highlighted a few of those, and we'll absolutely bring them into the show and incorporate them into future shows. And maybe we'll do that on Monday.
Yeah.
But it looks like we have now, according to Chooch, we have booked Mike or James Roguski for Saturday next Thursday night, so he'll come in and catch us up on the Who, and next Thursday at 9 he's in.
We might have to readjust that because we are supposed to be in Cavan with our dear friend Todd and David with the People versus David and Colette Steffen. Sorry, Church, we didn't let you know that.
Yeah, we will figure that out.
That's okay.
So I want to run this story from I think one of us put it up on the Signal thing.
Shoot.
And I picked it up because here's the thing. Adobe joins Microsoft in admitting it's now basically spyware. So Microsoft basically came out not too long ago and said, if you're doing content on our system, we're going to shut you down. Adobe is facing a privacy firestorm after users spotted changes in its terms of use last updated February 2024 that highlighted the company's right to access your content through both automated and manual methods. It defines content as any text, information, communication, or material such as audio files, video files, electronic documents, or images that you upload, import into, embed for use by, or create using the services and software. Adobe appears to be pushing those terms users via their applications this month, with multiple customers, it says, responding with distinct displeasure to being effectively strong-armed into accepting them. This isn't the first time Adobe has been has screwed customers over. They lost the copyright on one of the components for Photoshop. And so basically people would just carry on before the subscription. They would just not renew or update their software. So they carry on with 2 or 3 years of the same version of Photoshop. And they got letters of cease and desist for their customers who bought the software. They owned it outright, and Adobe said, "Yeah, you need to cease and desist, or we're gonna sue you." And this is customers who had bought their software. So that was what 2010, I think they pulled that off. So anyway, why this caught my attention is because I have been saying this, witness, testify for a year now, that we are going to have to find alternates to Adobe, because Adobe's going to start limiting and cracking down on content that they don't like. And so when they can't censor everything and all the platforms and whatnot, what do? They're going to go after the choke points. And one of those choke points is the content creation software. And everybody uses Adobe. Most people use Photoshop, Illustrator, Adobe Premiere, Audition, PDF, exactly. So if they don't like what you're putting out there, they're gonna start censoring people right at the creator level, instead of trying to deal with it after the fact. And I have been saying this for over a year, and we made a concerted effort to actually get off Adobe about 2 months ago, because it's a subscription base. You can't actually buy the software anymore. So therefore they can control who is and who isn't allowed to be a client in their subscription model.
Exactly. So thankfully, Cris was on this a while ago, and we managed to flip over to an open source program?
Well, no, some yes, some no. So I think what we might do is actually put out somewhere on our website a list of alternatives, because you've got to get off Microsoft and you've got to get off Adobe for sure. And this is specifically talking to you content creators. You need to make this switch now. So here's what I use. I know Michael uses different things as well, and he's actually a lot more tech savvy than I am, but here's what I use. For starters, I use Affinity, and Affinity would be Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. So that would be the equivalent of that. So Affinity is not a subscription model. You can buy this program right out. And if you buy the universal license, you get access to not only all of this software, but you can put it on multiple computers, I think up to 2 or 3 computers in your household. And you get free updates forever. Now, I know that right now they're 50% off. So you get all 3 softwares, you get the free updates, you get multiple licenses, and it's $100 right now. And it's yours, and nobody controls you. And so
great alternative to Adobe.
Right. They got a 50% off. Now there's a learning curve, but it's about 80% the same as Adobe. So the learning curve isn't so bad. There's just some little niddly things that are easy to do in Photoshop, and you got to find how they do it in Affinity. So that's affinity.serif.com, and you can get off Adobe doing that. So video editing. Virtually everybody's running over to this Blackmagic Design DaVinci Resolve Studio. And believe it or not, they have a free version. And that free version works for everything, like from amateur to like moderate video producers. They're going to get everything they need in the free version. And again, you download it, it's your version. They're not going to pull it back. They're not going to censor you. And so if you want to pay a little bit more and get some extra effects that you can plug in, and so you get a little more leeway, I think it's $300. And again, you own that. Updates for life. You can get off Adobe Premiere by doing that. And it's not just an alternative. Most professional video producers are actually moving over to that. And it was Todd Michael Harris from Uninformed Consent and The Big Picture, and now the People do versus David and Colette Steven, that put me onto this. And he still uses the free version. I went and upgraded to the full version, and I get extra effects. That's about it. So this is not like a podunk program. Most professionals are actually switching to DaVinci because it's cheap and it's really good. And DaVinci used to be a color correction program, and they've expanded from there, and they're like the industry standard in color correction. So they know what they're doing. Now, I'll come back to that in a second. Now, lastly, this is Audacity. If you're doing audio editing, Audacity is open source. It's free, and you can download that. It's not quite as good as Adobe Audition, which I used to use and love because it was so good for video editing on the fly. But Audacity is very good, and it's 100% free. So there's no issues. So once you download it, again, it's yours and nobody can control you. Now, I don't actually use Audacity. I downloaded Audacity once we got off Adobe, but I don't actually use it because the DaVinci Resolve Studio is excellent with their audio software. So like, for example, that Todd interview that we just played, there were people just on the other side of our table, like considering like 5 feet away, yelling back and forth across each other. And you can do voice isolation filters and whatnot in DaVinci, and you can barely hear any of that stuff. So I don't actually use Audacity for anything that I'm doing with video editing because I can handle it in DaVinci. So those are a few of the content creator softwares that you can move on over to. And I think that Michael uses a couple different ones than I am. But the other thing is, get off Microsoft. You can go over to Linux, and Linux is control free. It works a lot like Mac operating software. So if you're familiar with that, the learning curve for Linux is going to be super easy. And again, open source software. So basically you wipe your computer and away you go. Yes, Chrome does have the symbol 666. Yeah, it says it a lot. And well, you know, Microsoft is Bill Gates, and Bill Gates has what is it, WS 2020-060606 patent, which is basically the microchip we've been waiting for that uses luciferase to find its way into your body. So, you know, Bill Gates, don't support him anyway, right? And then if you want to look for Microsoft Office products, Open Office, again, it's free and it works just as well as Microsoft Office. I've been using it for years and I don't use Office anymore. So, so we highly recommend making switches as soon as possible because you're going to get cracked down on pretty quick.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, some other notables from the Re-Awaken Tour. Sarah Maccabee, we did catch up with her.
Yeah.
And you'll remember her if you're an avid watcher of ours. She was on our show probably 6 months ago, maybe a little longer ago, talking about her husband, Ronald Cole Maccabee. He was a law enforcement officer who ended up spending over 26 months in jail before he was trialed, or before he hit his trial, and then was found guilty and sentenced to 70 more months in jail. He's not due to get out till August 2026. And for those who watched our show, you'll remember he's a law enforcement officer as a profession, but he wasn't there causing trouble. He actually threw his body on top of another police officer to stop the police officer from getting beaten. So he used his own body as a shield. He also was trying to save Roseanne Boylan, who was getting beat up and
By the police.
She ended up dying, but he was there on video trying to save her life. So not only did he save a police officer's life, he saved her life. He had no weapons, no violence, no nothing. All the video showed him trying to keep the crowd back and then saving people. And he sat, much like our Coots boys, in jail for 26 months before he had his trial, and then was found guilty because they wouldn't allow those videos showing him saving people. They said that they were prejudicial, so they didn't allow them. And they found him guilty, 70 months in jail. August 2026 is when he's due to get out. So clearly they are appealing, but by the time their appeal is heard, he'll actually be out.
Right. Yeah. So one guy that we came across, we weren't even searching for it. Sarah is traveling right now with somebody who's doing a documentary, and part of the documentary includes J6ers. So he's following Sarah around doing a documentary, and he sent his producer and the host of this documentary over to us. And this is JJ, and we'll let kind of JJ speak for himself here.
I wrote a book. It's a bestseller on Amazon multiple times called Invaded, the Intentional Destruction of American Immigration System, last year. And the purpose is to gain wealth and power. That's all they want. But they want to fundamentally transform the United States of America. That's not my words. Those are President Obama. I want to fundamentally transform America. I'll give you another quote from his vice president at the time. We are going to allow unrelenting waves of immigration into America, so much so that the Anglo-Saxon will become the majority minority in our country. That's President Biden when he was vice president.
Yeah.
Just last year,
Trudeau said the same thing.
Yes, and Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Senate, said, we need to replace American workers with illegal aliens, and we need to give every one of them amnesty. Those are not my words. Those are the three highest leaders of the Democrat Party. They're trying to systematically, strategically destroy the United States of America. And I will drive my point home even further. I'm a United States Border Patrol agent for 24 years. My last year was Joe Biden's first year in his term. For 23 years, in fact, for 97 years of the 100-year anniversary, which we celebrated last year, United States Border Patrol, we never did one thing that we're doing now. We never released anybody. In fact, it's against our Immigration Nationality Act, our law that says if you're an illegal alien, you cannot be released into America. It's against the law. So every policy in our immigration law has been broken, bastardized, or ignored. So what I truly believe in my heart of hearts, and as I go through this documentary and interview and dig deeper, there's without a shadow of a doubt, at the very beginning, there was meetings at the highest level of our government to make decisions to destroy America. And I know how I sound. When I go on interviews, I have like an inner voice, and in my inner voice I go, all right, we're coming to that point. I'm gonna have to say this out loud. And I'm like, golly, man, I hate saying it out loud because no one wants to think that they're crazy, right? People say he's crazy, but it's the truth. And history will show that I'm speaking the truth. It has already, but eventually it will show me in greater detail that I'm speaking the truth. Let me just give you a number that's shocking.
Okay.
Right now, under congressional testimony, it's already acknowledged and accepted that they are saying and I believe the number is right around there, but I think it's conservative. Right now in America, there's 45 million illegal aliens live in the United States of America. 45 million. And
that's more than our population of Canada.
It's 1 in 6 residents in America are illegal aliens. And let me show you how everyone gets the data, or at least I can piece it together. Yale and MIT did a study in 2018, 2019, and they poured all demographic data into this algorithm, and like whatever data, like residents, non-residents, people that are here, overstayed data, all that, and then spun it through an algorithm 1 million times. And they found the median, meaning they averaged about 22 million illegal aliens. 2018-19, okay? Right now, I can, without hesitation, tell you that between 27 and 30 million illegal aliens will have or will pour into the United States of America by the end of Joe Biden's term in 6 months. I believe the number is closer to 50, 51 million. Congress is now admitting at 45 million.
Wow.
So, and the vast majority of them, 60 to 65%, are single adult military age men.
Yes.
How
Yes.
does that end for your nation?
Not
How?
good. Not good.
Not good. And then when you understand, as I do, because being in the business, that when you start breaking down the demographics of those individuals that have poured into our nation, just through arrest data, not, we call them undetected absconders, we call them getaways on the border. So people that cross, I don't know where they are. So right now, as you and I, as the three of us speak, 80% of the southern border is unmanned.
Right.
No one. You're from Canada. The northern border apprehensions have hit a all-time high. They arrested in the last 10 months what they arrested in the last 9 years combined. There's 5,400 miles we share with you in Canada. There's less than 2,000 agents that patrol the northern border. It's a lie that we're secure, that we have sovereignty. And you ask, well, why? It's because they're trying to destroy America. This has already happened outside of Canada and the U.S. to the other Western nations in Western Europe. They're devastated from illegal immigration, pushed up, migration. Does anybody care? Right now, Sweden is about to fall. The Netherlands are tipping over their population.
Yes.
Does anybody really care economically? Like, I care on a personal level, but economically, I don't care. It has no bearing on finances. If America falls, the world falls.
Massive.
And what can you do when America falls? You can rebuild the world the way you want it. Thus, the replacement, the Great Reset.
Build back better.
Build back better. It's not my words, it's theirs.
Yeah.
You don't have to, I don't have to make up what theoreticals. I just have to regurgitate their quotes and then
Yes.
point out their actions. And there you have it.
Exactly.
So there you go. That was thisistreason.com. We wanted to play the trailer but couldn't grab it today. Go watch. Just in case you didn't catch that, JJ Carroll is an ex-border officer, so he knows his stuff.
Yeah,
And
what did he say? 26 years on the border
Yeah.
that he worked, and his last year was Biden's first year. And it's amazing to hear him talk about all of the laws that are
Yes.
being completely ignored
Yeah.
and bastardized. Very much the same as up here in Canada. Our laws are being ignored and bastardized by the current predatory regime.
Right.
But we watch the trailer and it gets into the child sex trafficking. It gets into the refugees that are all seem to be male of fighting age. Very few women and children in those refugees coming across the borders. And I can't remember if he said in that clip or not, but they're all given free cell phones. They're given free accommodations. They're given a paycheck each week. They're given free food. They're given free medical and dental. And he was talking about, I think it was Chicago or Whitewater, which is right near Chicago or something, that seems to be where the Venezuelan refugees are settling. And what they're doing is they're calling home and saying, you wouldn't believe this. You need to start making your way here because I've got a free cell phone. I've got a paycheck. I've got free accommodation. I've got free medical. I've got free dental. You need to come here. And then what happens is all their friends and family come into that same little town. So a town that had 15,000 people now all of a sudden has 30,000 people, but 15,000 of them are illegal refugees. And in that town's case, it's all Venezuelans.
Mhm.
And they're starting to see a domino effect happening of they don't care about the city or town that they live in. Windows are getting broken, the robberies go up, the sexual assaults go up, the violent crimes go up. People start leaving their homes unattended because they don't care. And it just domino effects into more and more and
Right.
worse and worse things. And before you know it, these beautiful neighborhoods have now succumbed and fallen to poverty and I don't care attitude.
Yeah, I mean, he goes into that a little bit called the broken window theory. And because I went into it in New York back in the 80s when crime was really bad, the new police chief came in and said, we're going to crack down on on jaywalking. We're going to crack down on speeding tickets and parking fines, and we're going to go extra over the top. And what that did is gave people the impression that the police force had so many police now that they were able to crack down on the little things, and gave the false impression that there are too many cops now. And it actually did reverse crime. And he says that is a variation of the broken window theory. So if you're in a nice neighborhood and all the windows are not broken, because you're almost apologetic, because if your window's broken, then you kind of feel bad because your neighbors are looking. But when one person has a broken window and it doesn't get dealt with, and another person says, well, I can break my window, and it kind of goes on from there. And that is the start of the decline of neighborhoods. But he went into that, and he went into child trafficking. So I think that interview is 27 minutes. So the full interview will be up on Rumble on that one. There's a couple that we'll play on this show. That's one of those ones. We're not going to play that one right now, because hopefully we're going to have him back when the
documentary comes out.
Exactly. And I think that's September, he was saying.
Yeah.
So we'll have them on then. And it looks like it's going to be a pretty hard hitting documentary. I asked him straight, are you going to actually go this deep with it? And he says, yeah, we're not going to shy away. So good luck to you, sir. We're praying for your safety on a daily basis.
Exactly. It's no Sound of Freedom, this documentary. In the trailer we saw, no Sound of Freedom.
No. So people who go down this road tend to get Bill and Hillaried.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is a reality slap to the face. And it's not a slap with your hand. It's a slap with the belt with the big elephant buckle on it. That's what the slap is.
Right. Yeah. And people shy away from this stuff, but he's like, no, it's time. It's time that we looked at this stuff, and we looked it straight on in the face and didn't look away this time. So it's going to be quite the documentary for sure.
And you can actually pre-order it right now. It's $9.99 if you just buy the documentary, but if you buy the documentary with all the background clips and the interviews, et cetera,
the unedited stuff,
unedited stuff, then it's $14.99. So you can pre-order the movie right now.
Right. What a great idea that is, actually. All the raw stuff, because I'm not sure a lot of people will be really interested in the full interviews.
That's it.
Yeah.
So,
we told him to keep his producer, because that's a great idea.
Exactly.
So, maybe, just maybe, we should talk about what's going on in Canada.
Okay.
We have some red flags.
Yes, we do.
So everybody's heard of the foreign interference stuff, of course, and everybody's getting in on the game here. Nothing to see here, says the Liberals. Not only does there something to see, then I want to also have the finger pointed at the Conservatives, says Jugmeat, saying, I've actually read all of the security stuff, and really my mind is at ease, says Trudeau Foundation alumni Elizabeth May. And then I think one of the Guilbeault from France, from Quebec, France, Canada. He said, well, it is very serious, actually. So what she's saying is wrong. So it's the direct opposite of what she's saying. So everybody's weighing in. Basically, there's snakes in the hen house.
That's it. Well, what the blonde say? And I can't remember who she is. Oh, boo-hoo. Get over it. I was like, so you just outed yourself.
O'Connell.
You're definitely one of the ones who took foreign monies to get your spot, and that's why you don't want it coming out. Oh, boo-hoo. Get over
Jennifer
it.
O'Connell. Yeah, and she's from Pickering. So I personally want to go to Pickering and shame those people into inflicting her upon us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All those who voted for her, ridiculous.
Exactly right. But here's the thing. People who listen to our show for a long time know that we will always say political theater. So what's the game here? What is the game?
Who are they bringing in? You know what? And I keep saying this, we're not going to have another election. We're not.
We'll see.
Online harms bill, can't have an election if you can't talk bad about the party in power.
Or in powder.
In powder. They're refusing to release.
Like Freeland.
They're refusing to release who our MPs are that used foreign interference to win their spots. They're refusing to say who those people are. And not only are they refusing to say who they are refusing to demand that they step down, and they're refusing to release their names.
Yep.
So who's going to want to vote in the next election? Because who are you voting for? A traitor? And from my point of view, I'm a big proponent of, if you hold multiple passports and citizenships, then you're not loyal to Canada, because there's a giant conflict of interest. You should not be allowed to run as an MP. You should not be allowed to run for governance of our country, for any other country except for the country you're a citizen to, because that means your loyalty is to that country. So I'm beginning to think, we know over half of our leadership holds dual or more multiple passports and citizenships. So I'm thinking all of them, we can ixnay them right now, because I'm guessing foreign interference on their behalf.
Right. Yeah. So here's the play as we see it. We've been talking, we actually haven't done a show on it, but we've been talking more and more about Mark Carney. And I am in the middle of a Substack that I have, this forever Substack that doesn't get written. But again, to go over his resume really briefly, he was at Goldman Sachs around the time of the crash. And the crash was to bring in global banking. He was at IMF and BIS around the time they brought in the solution framework for the global banking. He's been the governor of the Bank of Canada, governor of the Bank of England, Chatham House, which is a Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, Bilderbergers, which we've all gone, watch our 4-part series on the secret societies. He's there on all of those ones. He's also part of the One World Sovereign Health Fund. He's part of a whole bunch of wealth funds.
One World Sovereign Bank Fund.
Yeah, that's out of the Middle East. So he's the globalists. He's the pedocrat elite. And so
he's the golden child.
So he's looking more and more like he is much more dangerous than you'd first give him credit for. And now he's the UN envoy for climate change. And what has he done? He talks about how they've retooled all the plumbing for banking to incorporate Basel IV, basically, which is going to bring in not only it's going to take out half the banks, but it's also going to bring in climate change related banking, which we have covered on the show ad infinitum. So we've talked about how dangerous Mark Carney is. And then we start seeing these massive red flags coming out of Parliament. So I don't know if we want to comment all the way through.
Let's just play.
The incoming leader of the Liberal Party has just given a speech and given advice to his soon-to-be predecessor. He said that he agrees. This is Mark Carney.
Now, why, when you're watching these things, why would Pierre Poilievre, Mark Carney is way more credible and capable than Justin Trudeau. Poilievre knows that. Who would he want to run against in the next election?
Trudeau, not Carney.
Trudeau, hands down, and even Freeland, because he can take them both, right? Why would he start announcing predictive programming for Mark Carney, who is a very credible alternative to Pierre Poilievre?
And again, Carney is not a sitting MP,
right?
Nor is he run for governance in any region, zone, sector of Canada.
So what are they doing? Saying the next leader is somebody who's never held any public office that's been voted for public office, an elected position. So how is that even a possible thing? But here's Poilievre talking about it.
Says he agrees that there should be a carbon tax conference where the premiers can come together and share their concerns about the Prime Minister raising the cost of living and breaking the back of Canadians. Will the Prime Minister won't listen to me, to the Liberal Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, will he at least listen to his successor and meet the premiers on the carbon tax?
Clearly some audio issues there. So why would he be touting Mark Carney to come in and saying that he's much better than Trudeau? That doesn't even make sense. But we know, we ran a clip right off the beginning. We know that he's involved with the World Economic Forum and globalist companies. So like we say, political theater. And that was a campaign video.
Actually applaud.
We need to talk about the next leader of the Liberal Party, Mark Carbon Tax Carney.
So here's Andrew Scheer, and Andrew Scheer is a young global leader. We always knew he was a plant. So here is Andrew Scheer also doing predictive programming for his constituents.
Opposition.
Exactly, doing predictive programming while pretending to say he's super bad, but they're already positioning him as a leader.
Has been out on the elitist speaking circuit. He's been unveiling his philosophies and his beliefs and his approach to government, but only to a select group of liberal insiders. He's not actually talking to Canadians. He's talking to the liberal donor base, the liberal activist base, the little club of elites in Canada. This already shows that he's going to follow in the same steps as Justin Trudeau. Rules for everyone else while they get to live their protected lifestyles. Well, the very least he can do is come clean with Canadians. Show up at committee, answer questions, and be honest with the people of this country about what he would do when he takes over from Justin Trudeau. Tomorrow, Conservatives will move a motion at Finance Committee calling on Mark Carney to come and testify and be accountable for his positions and his policies. So watch tomorrow. The NDP have a choice. They can either vote with Conservatives for maximum transparency and accountability, or they will vote once again to cover for Justin Trudeau and protect him and his successor from scrutiny from Canadians.
Again, he's using that as a campaign video.
Why would you campaign and lift up your opposition when, one, your opposition hasn't even announced that he's running? Two, he is not holding any political seat whatsoever. No elected political seat does this man hold, nor has he run in any political election. So why?
Why would two of them be selling Mark Carney? And this is what we call predictive programming. So they're getting everybody used to Mark Carney being the next leader, even though he hasn't earned a seat. So,
or maybe because there's not going to be an election and Mark Carney is just going to be appointed Canada or North America's continent, that one region out of the 10 that the UN has already carved up. Because once they have full control of everything, there are no elections. They just put whoever they want in charge, and maybe they're getting Canadians used to the fact that Mark Carney is going to be our next governing predator.
right. And, you know, before you say, well, the UN can't code, I have the document. I have the World Economic Forum document where they're already readjusting the lines. They say they're readjusting the national lines. So they don't actually recognize country borders anymore. They're basically basing it on regions that are optimal for global trade is how they're doing it. And I think that was 2012 that report came from. So I've got it in my archives, and I just talked about it. And I don't know if it was on this show or another show, but we have that document. I'll make sure that I put it up if I haven't already. I might have put it up in on the Chris's research packs over on the resources page.
Yeah, we talked about it on Rena Melka's show, Freedom Lovers Canada, on Tuesday, which it's not up yet, but it should be up by next week. So if you go to freedomloverscanada.com, I believe it is, then you'll be able to see our 2.5 hour guest appearance on Rena's show from Tuesday night. So for those of you who asked how to get the link so you can see what we talked about, and we touched on a little bit of everything, but a whole lot of the banking system that for our followers who watch religiously, you will already have a good idea of what we talked about on freedomloverscanada.com.
Well, the producer extraordinaire, the guy who was working overtime on our last show for sure, found that trailer that we were talking about, JJ's trailer, This Is Treason. It's a really strong trailer, so we're going to play it.
Take you on a journey that's going to prove that Joe Biden and his administration are traitors and they have committed treason against America. I only have one question for you, but before I ask that question, I want to take you back in time. We're going to transport everyone back to January 19th, 2021, the day before Joe Biden takes office. And I'm going to stand before you and I'm going to say I came from the future 4 years from now.
Okay. Well, something happened there.
Interesting that it just
just stopped. Interesting. Well, there you go. Go to This Is Treason. That's a teaser of the teaser. Go to thisistreason.com and go watch it for yourself and pour through all the interviews that are already there. And then Ryan Matta, it's Ryan Matta Media. Go to his Rumble page and he's got a bunch of interviews up already. And they're putting out some things as they go to keep people interested in what they're doing. So that's good. So Michael Chuchong is in the house, and you have tiny X-ray sensors that you brought up. Did you want to talk about that, Michael Chuchong?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah, this new technology they're working on here. So they've developed a tiny X-ray vision chip that can peer through nearby objects like cardboard boxes and even walls, and it's small enough to fit in a smartphone.
Right. Yeah. Putting smartphones in the hands of teenagers with X-ray vision. What could go wrong at the beach?
I don't know, but I'm thinking every women's change room out there needs to be on high alert and uber diligent, because how do you protect yourself from predators now?
Right. Do you remember the Sony night shot? It came out, I think, just after the year 2000, 2003 to 2005 in that. Is the Sony night shot. So they had night vision built into it. And it didn't take...
That was good timing.
And it didn't take long for the perverts of the world to realize that if they put night shot on during the day, it could see through clothing. And Sony immediately discounted it, and the night shots shot up in price on eBay. So of course people are going to misuse this technology. Of course they are.
Every mother has to be like standing in front of their child in every way possible now in every change room.
Do we know how this works?
It sounds like it's actually X-rays, which we know are also not good for people. So I'm not 100% certain on the technology, but they do say they've put in a safeguard so that it only works from 3 inches away. But this is an artificial safeguard, right? It's like software. It's like on your phone. When you say turn off my Bluetooth and I touch the screen and it turns it off, it's not like there's a physical button that disconnects, the Bluetooth from the hardware. This is just software saying, okay, now Bluetooth is off. That doesn't stop a hacker, if they were in your phone, they could actually turn it on. They could make it look like it's off, right? So yeah, these are
the same people who would use that technology for nefarious reasons are the same people who know to root a phone. So there you go. So there's going to be a lot of cheese-stained fingers getting their hands on this new technology for sure.
I love at the bottom of this, it says, but those prone to taking naps in public places need to be especially cautious. That was their warning. Those who take naps in public places. My immediate warning went to, oh my gosh, all the female washrooms and change rooms, high alert.
Well, exactly. And, then obviously there's a bunch of people shooting X-rays at your junk all day. That's, there's just nothing good that can come from this technology.
Wow. That was a good find, Michael.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. X-ray vision. Boy.
Everybody's dreamed of it though, haven't we? So I bought X-ray goggles when I was a kid from the comic book.
Did you?
I did. Yeah. Turns out
they don't work.
They did not work. Yeah, they did not work.
Your poor little boy heart.
Oh, it was just awful. Yeah. I mean, actually at that age, I was more into being able to look at my bones in my hand. That's really what I was in for it. But I think I was like
other bones.
6.
No, I was gonna say little kids. That's what they're into. The skeleton of a bug.
Exactly.
Can we see in the bug? Yeah.
Well,
can I see up your nose?
My biggest quest at that age was to find out what was inside a Stretch Armstrong, and if you don't know, it was a doll that he was a wrestler doll, and you could stretch his arms, and they would slowly go back into place. And I'm like, how does this magic work? And eventually, curiosity got the better of me.
And you chopped his arms off.
I did chop his arms off, and it's a gel. There you go. Spoiler alert. There was a gel inside there. Yeah. So
I think they're making robots out of that material now.
Yeah. Oh, are they? Oh, probably. Yeah.
Probably.
So, but good on them. It was red gel. So if you cut it open, at least you got the full experience. So.
Ew.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah,
Whatever.
dyed it red.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, that was a good find, Michael, and thanks for getting that trailer. Half of it.
Half of it.
This
It's
is
playing locally, but yeah, it must be that the StreamYards issue we've had before.
Yeah.
Well, they don't like us to play a whole lot of truth, and that is, like I said,
Yeah, that's going to be
throw a whole lot of water in your face. Truth.
exactly. That one's this is like once you learn these things, you can't sleep for a week. At least. So yeah, so we kind of saved the best for last.
We did. Cris has been on a mission to track down Mr. Jim Breuer. Cris would love nothing better than to put on a comedy show to travel across Canada. And we have been on a mission, writing to Jim Breuer on a weekly, almost daily basis, to Rob Schneider, to who's a few other.
We've tried Roseanne, and a few Canadian comics who still, I mean, I wouldn't say you're that star celebrity status that you can't get back to us, but even they aren't getting back to us.
Exactly.
So,
but lo and behold, Mr. Jim Breuer was a confirmed person at this Re-Awaken Tour. So Cris was super excited. But what we weren't super excited to hear was we weren't going to meet him because the first day he was scheduled to be on the stage, unfortunately, some stuff happened with his plane because he is in the middle of a tour across the country. And something happened. He missed his plane. So he wasn't there Friday. He did make it Saturday, but he literally ran into the building, did his thing on stage, and then had to hightail it out because he had to catch another plane to get to, I don't know, Oklahoma or
I think it was, South Carolina or something.
Something like that. So
Yeah.
we didn't get to see him, but man, we got to be right. I was right at the front of the stage. He actually came right down into my phone a couple of times. So anybody who watched my Instagram got Jim Breuer up close and personal. I definitely could have touched him, shook his hand, wiped a freckle off his face.
That would be awkward during his show.
It totally would have
sure.
been awkward, but I totally could have done it. I didn't. I restrained myself.
For once.
But I will tell you this, I'm not a big fan of physical comedians and comedians that pull faces, but he had me laughing so hard. I had tears down my face, but in the middle of the laughter, he said some really great, intellectual, highly educated things that made sense.
Right.
And even incorporated some of that into his funny. And I believe we have a clip that we're going to share with you.
Yeah, we do. It was a 45-minute set. This is one of Jody's favorite parts of it. It's a little bit longer. I think it's about a 5-minute clip, but it's a great way to end the night. And he's both funny, but also, some inspirational stuff. And we're going to still work. We met somebody who actually has a contact that's going to help us out. So all is not lost. We're looking at bringing Jim Breuer into Canada if we can do it, or Rob Schneider or something. We shouldn't jump the gun because we wouldn't want to commit him without him even knowing who we are.
No,
so
there's a few different comedians that really stuck their necks out the last 4 years, and we would be proud to bring them into Canada and show them what the power of one can do. And Jim Breuer was one of those that said, I don't care how much you're paying me, I will not play at your venue if you are demanding those poison shots on people. I will not do it. Take your money, throw it in the garbage. It's no good in my pockets.
Right. Yeah. Now I've loved Jim Breuer a long time, and it's added icing on the cake when he is on side. So without further ado, here's a very short clip from a very long set.
But my favorite is you go on a safari, not so much for the animals and all that. My wife wanted to see lions, so we went to this one safari where they said there's many lions, and they bring you to a tent. Nice tent. I don't want to sound like, we just pitched it up and then it's nice, got beds and bathrooms, but it's a tent. And they said, listen, tonight, stay in the tent. At nighttime, you do not unzip the zip of the tent and you do not come outside. There will be lions in the camp. Yeah, I'm looking at my wife like, this is what we wanted, right? So, and she's like, do we have guards with guns? Like, no guns. But we have a Maasai tribe. He patrols at night. And I look in the distance, and there's a guy from a tribe. He weighs maybe 93 pounds tops. No dentist. His teeth look like, oh yeah, they're coming out this way. He's all gums. His upper lip is up here. He got no meat on him, and the only thing he has to defend my life and his in the pitch black against lions is a little blankie he wears around his shoulder and a stick. And he's looking at him like, you all right? He's like, no, you're ready, you're ready. Okay, if he's got it. You would be safe as long as you keep the tent. Okay, and he leaves. And there you are. It doesn't matter how much money you make, how big you think you are as a CEO, and how important you think you are. When you're in the middle of the Serengeti in a tent, your whole life is just zipping up the thing. And the guy says, if you feel scared, there's a bell next to the bed. And I look, and it's not like, it's not a bong, it's just a little. So in the middle of the night, we go to sleep, my wife and I. And let me tell you something. When you hear the sound, oh yeah, and they're getting, and they were all wildebeest. That's what put me. There were thousands of wildebeest throughout the night. I fell asleep to it. But when you hear, even the wildebeest like. I'm in the tent. Oh my God, do you hear that? My wife's not good on the pen. She's like, yes, I hear it, stupid, doesn't hear it. I thought we'd come out here and learn to talk to one another. I'm sorry your brother was in church you growing up and you gotta take it on. Jimmy, quiet. They're getting closer. You're right. Okay, here we go. Little help. And that's when I saw with my own two eyes the power of the spirit of fearlessness. This Maasai tribe, 93 pounds, doesn't know how to UFC fight, never watched pornography, doesn't have news, wasn't in school, didn't have his brain occupied 24/7, and with just a stick and a blankie, no shoes or socks. You see the power of the human spirit. We can heal one another without politicians. We can heal one another without professional pharmaceutical companies. We can lift each other up without people telling us how. And you can face fear. This guy, he comes out and is going, and the freaking lion's going, God, I'm like, this guy's really good. We gotta bring him home with us. And I saw with my own 2 eyes the Spirit in us all. Turn everything off. Because your parents, your grandparents that are about to go in an elderly home or becoming a necessity to be taken care of. They don't care if you're liberal or conservative or hate and you're waiting for the next. The kid that has Down syndrome and is autistic, those parents, we need each other. Maybe we need a dog collar this year, and anytime you talk politics, it zaps you.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Right.
I love that, we've been saying for, 2 years, the power of one. You are the hero. And he said that on the stage. It doesn't matter how small you are, how big you are, whether you have shoes, no shoes, whether you're a big CEO or not, you have the power, and it's all about your spirit.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to put a bunch of stuff up on our Rumble page. Keep checking back. We're going to put a bunch of those interviews. We're going to put more clips from Jim Brewer, and I think I put some up on TikTok as well. So we'll be continuing on with that, and we'll put the full interview with Michael teaching Judy Mikovic a few things about world politics and medicine.
Yes. And if you go to my my Instagram page, at Jody Ledgerwood, I was literally right up front, sitting on the floor right in front of the stage.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of the speakers on stage live that we didn't get interviewed. So you can check out a lot of the speakers, and you'll get a nice big close-up of Jim Brewer's entire act, where you can see his face and the light's not in the way. And he is literally right there.
That's Instagram at Jody Ledgerwood.
You got it.
Yep.
Now, in case you have nothing going on for the next, 7, 8, 10 days, our dear friend Todd Michael Harris and David Steppen, who we've had on the show, are touring across Canada with their documentary, The People versus David and Colette Steffen. And they are now in Ontario. They are in right now, I believe it is Windsor, Ontario right now. So the people in Windsor are being treated to the People versus David and Colette Steffen, and a Q&A afterwards with David and Todd. So that's happening right now in Windsor at the Green Room. So I'm sorry, you guys, you missed it. If you're watching us and not in the Windsor area, then you missed them. But don't fear. On Saturday, they're going to be in Elmer at the Church of God. So they'll be in Elmer. You can go on to thebigpicturemovie.com.
Is that the Hildebrandt's church?
That is
okay.
Henry Hildebrandt, Herbert Hildebrandt, very good friends of ours. So they are hosting Todd and David Steffen on Saturday, June 15th. I believe the doors open at 6:30. So that's Elmer Church of God. On Sunday, they will be in London at the BMO Center. So you can catch Todd and David and the documentary at the BMO Center in London on Sunday. And then Monday night, if you are in the Hamilton area, it means you'll have to miss our show, but we're okay with that because you can watch our show in reruns. It's perfectly fine. Go to our past episode and you can watch our Monday night show. But Monday, if you're in and around the Hamilton area, you can catch Todd and David in the documentary at the restaurant Cause and Effect. Danny is being super fantastic, and he is opening up the dining room for the show. So if you can arrive a little bit early, order some dinner so you can eat some dinner while you watch the movie, have a drink or two, support Danny as he supports David and Todd. And then on Tuesday night, they will be in Newmarket at the Lions and Sun Pub and Bar. So again, Newmarket, Sharon area, you can catch David and Todd there. Again, show up a little early, support the Lions and Sons because they are supporting us. Buy a meal, buy a drink.
Good food there. We've eaten there.
Yes.
Good food.
And then Thursday night, they will be in Cavan thank you to Ray and Monique, who are opening up their giant shop at 1599 Moore Drive, Cavan. They
Nice.
will be hosting Todd and David there. So come out and support them next Thursday night. Again, catch our show on the reruns. We're perfectly fine with that. This movie is worth seeing, and Todd and David are worth meeting. So, and then of course on Saturday, June 22nd, are one of my favorite places, Vanier Capital City Bikers Church.
Whoop.
With Pastor Rob and Pastor Melissa. They will be hosting David and Todd at
Awesome.
Bikers Church
Mhm.
Saturday, June 22nd. So please, if you're in any of those areas, please come out and support them. We are trying to get them a venue in the Durham area. We are still waiting on confirmation for Wednesday, June 19th.
Right.
But if that doesn't happen, please catch them at one of those other venues.
Awesome. So there you go. You can whythebigpicturemovie.com. Big Picture Movie is a 6-part series that you can go and purchase and watch. And out of that, there's a through line or a main storyline, and that is the people versus David and Colette Stephan. Todd recognized the power of that one story, and so they're taking that story with David Stephan across Canada. And you can go to bigpicturemovie.com, and then you go into People versus David and Colette Stephan, and you can buy tickets at each one of the venues there.
Cash only.
Cash only.
Cash only.
That's right. So so at least you can get the schedule and all that stuff there. So hopefully that helps. That's it.
That's it. That's all she wrote.
Yep.
I hope everybody has a great weekend. And if you're not watching the movie somewhere, then I hope you're spending it with your dad, because I believe Sunday is Father's Day. Give your dad a big hug. He works hard and he supported you all through those years, put up with your shenanigans, and loved you anyway.
That's right. Yep. Okay. Nothing to add there. So good night, everybody. And we will see you in some form on Thursday after some heavy negotiations, either pre-record or live with James. So we will see you then. Good night, everybody.
Bye.